Welcome to your first website. Have you ever wondered what a website really is? At its core, a website is simply a collection of files stored on a computer called a server. When you type a web address into your browser, Google, Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, you are asking that server to send those files to your computer. Your browser then reads these files and displays them as the web page you see. Text, images, colors. Before we can start building, we need to make sure we have the right tools for the job. Luckily, you only need two essential pieces of software to create a basic website, and both are completely free. The first is a web browser. You are using one right now to read this. Google, Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Safari. A browser's job is to interpret the code files that make up a website and display them visually for you to interact with. For our project, any modern browser will work perfectly, so just use the one you are most comfortable with. The second and most important tool is a text editor. Now that your tools are ready, it is time to create the foundation of your website, the HTML file. Open your new text editor, like Visual Studio Code. You will be greeted with a blank screen, which is your empty canvas. The first thing we need to do is tell the browser what kind of document this is. The declaration is, it tells the browser this is an HTML5 document. It should always be the very first thing in your file. After the doc type, add the root element of every HTML page, the tag. HTML uses pairs of tags. Opening tag, closing tag. Everything else goes between those tags. They are the main container for your site. Inside the document splits into two sections. With our HTML skeleton in place, we can now start adding some visible content. Let's begin with a heading and a paragraph. This content will go inside the tags. The body is where all the visible elements of our page live. Headings use through. Here is a large H1 heading example. Type your heading here and then add a paragraph with your text. The body is where visible elements live. A website with only text can be a bit boring. Images are essential for making a page more engaging and visually appealing. So, let's add an image to our web page. To do this, we use the tag. Unlike and the tag is a self-closing tag. The src attribute tells the browser where to find the image file. Save your image in the same folder as your HTML file. Common image types include JPG, PNG, and .gif, for example. Also add alt text for accessibility, alt a beautiful sunset over the ocean. Our website has structure and content, but it probably looks quite plain. Just black text on a white background. This is where CSS, or cascading style sheets, comes in. CSS is the language we use to style our HTML. There are a few ways to add CSS to an HTML file, but for a simple start, we will add it directly into the head section using a style tag. Add. All CSS rules go between those tags. For example, inside your style tags type body, background color, #F0, F8, FF to set a light blue background. You will see the page background change to Alice Blue. Add H1, color, #4682B4, font family Arial, sans serif. To style the main heading a steel blue and select a font. The browser will render the H1 in steel blue and use Arial or a fallback sans serif. This internal CSS method keeps everything in one place. Great for starters. As projects grow, you'll move styles into an external CSS file linked from the head. Now your page has structure and style. You have written your HTML structure, added content, and applied some CSS styling. First, save your file correctly. In your text editor, go to File and select Save As. Crucially, end the file name with the .html extension. For example, index.html. The name index.html is special. Servers look for it as the homepage. It's a good habit to use it. Save files in a dedicated project folder so your index.html can find your images and other assets. You don't need a web server for this step. Just double-click index.html to open it in your browser. You should see the light blue background, your steel blue heading, the paragraph, and the image you added. Look at the Browser tab. It should display the title you set in the head, like My First Website. Congratulations! You have successfully built and viewed your very first web page. As you start your journey, you will inevitably run into small issues. This is normal. Do not get discouraged. Common problems include images not showing or styles not applying. The most common source of errors is simple typos or syntax mistakes. A forgotten closing tag, a misspelled attribute, or a missing semicolon can break things. If an image appears broken, first check the file name and extension in your SRC attribute. Remember, file names can be case-sensitive on some systems. Match exact capitalization and extension like JPG or PNG. If CSS isn't applying, check that you have successfully built a simple static web page. This is a huge accomplishment. The skills you learned, creating HTML, structuring content, and basic CSS, are the fundamental building blocks of the web. Try making another site, a hobby blog, a fan page, or a pet profile. Create a page about your favorite hobby. Create a page about a favorite movie. Create a page about your pet. Experiment with headings, lists, and links. Try different heading levels, H1 through H6, and add more paragraphs and images. See what happens when you change CSS values and try different color palettes and fonts. Use free resources like MDN, Free Code Camp, and the Odin project to continue learning. When you're ready, learn JavaScript to add interactivity, buttons, dynamic content, and more. Celebrate your achievement. You have taken your first step, and the entire web is now your playground.